Rick Revel, Mr. History, brought to you in part by Dixie Gun Works in Union City, Tennessee. When it comes to metal detecting, I'm no more than a novice, especially when I compare myself to some of my friends. Some of them I would consider professional treasure hunters. I got my first metal detector when I was a teenager. It was a Christmas gift from my mother. She had lost a ring. It was a favorite ring that was given to her by her grandmother. She said, "Son, if you could just find that ring, I'd be forever grateful." She had lost the ring several years before that, feeding the chickens. So I told her I would do my best. And much to my surprise, that little Radio Shack metal detector found that ring. I found that hidden treasure for my mother. Great sentimental value. Some treasure hunters, they're after silver and gold. But there are other treasure hunters that are after something else. I call it a Civil War treasure, a war between the states treasure. It's something that, well, it's like this .58 caliber mini ball. This was found near Franklin, Tennessee, from the Battle of Franklin. It's quite unusual, still has a little nick on it from where the shovel scraped up against it trying to get it out of the ground. What makes it a little bit more different is the fact it has a wormhole in it. Now this wormhole is from where the soldier actually had to take and extract it from the barrel of his musket, or from his rifle. A worm is actually a screw type of device that you screw down into the bullet, pull it out, and then I've known some soldiers that would actually fire the bullet, they would put it back in with a fresh load of powder and fire it. And then some would just discard it. So not sure which the soldier did. Looks like this one possibly could have been fired. But that's what I consider great treasure. So in today's episode of History Highway, I'm going to talk to Meigs Brainerd. And I consider Meigs a professional treasure hunter. And he's going to show me some of his treasure, some of his relics that he found west of the Mississippi. It doesn't matter if you're a reenactor who loves the smell of black powder in the morning on the battlefield, or a collector who admires the craftsmanship of a well-made weapon of old. Dixie Gun Works has a Pedersoli just for you. And not only does Dixie Gun Works have a warehouse full of Pedersoli reproduction firearms, they have an incredible collection of antique firearms. Inside the pages of their huge catalog, you will find gun parts, shooting accessories, reenactor clothing, camping supplies, and even some big guns if you like to burn a lot of powder. Dixie Gun Works is located in Union City, Tennessee. But for your convenience, visit our online store at www.dixiegunworks.com or call 1-800-238-6785.
All right, guys, check this out. Meigs just got down in the hole. He got himself a breastplate. And it looks like it's going to be nice, too. I mean, as nice as it can come out of clay.
It's got a little rim damage here.
Yeah, just a little bit, though.
I just wonder.
Here, flip it over, see if is it just the double hooks?
One hook left.
Man, I told you it was going to be a buckle. Man, look at where that thing was sitting.
Ronnie, did we scrape the side of that thing?
No, you didn't. No, you can see where your shovel went down over here. Look at that dark soil where the leather rotted away. That is nice right there. Turn it where the eagle's upright. Yeah, look at that.
First one in a while.
That is awesome right there.
I thought I had a pretty good reading, but you know.
That is cool. Oh, you could tell when you ran over the freaking signal it was a buckle.
I did not know this machine, so that's the first plate I've dug with the Deus.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Congratulations. That's a nice plate, too.
2 plates today. Cool.
Yeah, this field has definitely got some good stuff in it.
We're here this weekend at Stewart County Visitor Center, which is across from Fort Donelson Military Park in Dover, Tennessee, and this is the Civil War Elite Collectors Show. My good friend Meigs Brainerd, he's here. He's from Arkansas. He's been digging relics for years. And how many years have you been doing this? It's been quite a while.
Probably started in 1977.
Wow. You did it when you was in college, you tell me?
I was in college at the University of Arkansas, and I've always had a passion for the war between the states.
Right.
However you want to call it. But since a little boy, I was crawling on cannons at Shiloh and whatnot.
That was me. It was me in Ruggles Battery.
That's right. Anyway, that passion remained, and while I was in college, I was playing music professionally, but every chance I got, I'd go to nearby Prairie Grove, and that's actually where I dug my first mini ball.
Oh,
and from
man.
that day forward, I was
Been hooked.
Pretty much.
Well, let's talk about your collection. Raise the lid on that rascal, and let's talk about some of the things you got in there. On the top here, you got a conical that's really unique to Arkansas, I think.
This is what the moniker we gave this bullet. It's a massive 69 caliber piece of lead. It's definitely Confederate origin. We're not totally certain of the manufacturing of it. It's possible it was manufactured in the Trans-Mississippi Theater, because it doesn't really show up till like mid to late war.
Okay.
And it's called, we gave it the moniker the Arkansas Hog Bullet because of its massive size.
It's a big boy.
I also would proclaim this as the rarest bullet of the American Civil War.
Yeah.
It's very desirable. It sticks out in the collection, and it's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, I like that one. And boy, you have another unique one. This is like from the Grand Review. I mean, it's very similar to what was.
It is. This is it's not a buckle or a button, but the unique thing about it was made from a Marshall, Texas Enfield, which was another Trans-Mississippi arsenal that supplied the arms and ammunition to the Confederates in our theater. The neat thing about it, it's dated. The bullet is flattened on both sides. It's got the soldier's initials on one side and the date on the other. I actually ignored this bullet thinking it was a boogered up bullet. But the unique thing about it, I threw it in a cup with some other bullets, and later I decided I'd clean it. And I cleaned it, and I started seeing the numbers appear, 1864, which coincided when Walker's Texas Division was in Monticello, Arkansas for the...
In that neck of the woods.
Right, for the Grand Review under John Bankhead Magruder, who had came to run the department. And the soldier's initials, JP, coincided with about 150 names of Walker's Texas Division. So I couldn't positively identify what soldier may have lost it, but I feel confident it was lost by a member of soldier of Walker's Texas Division, and just a very personal item. It's one of my favorite carved pieces.
Can you imagine, Meigs, most likely he sat by the campfire that night and carved that in it?
Well, I look at it like the soldier left his legacy in lead.
And he did.
That's what I call that. He wanted to leave something there that just simply stated, I was here.
Yeah, I love it. That's a valuable piece to me. And you have a button that's almost as unique and valuable.
Well, the buttons are a favorite of the Civil War collecting community.
Right.
This is a unique button. I found this in Monticello too, in a site. I feel confident was occupied by the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
It's a solid cast button made by T. Miller of Houston, Texas, and it's one of the most desirable bullets of the Confederacy. So that's a very unique, rare bullet manufactured by T. Miller of Houston.
Oh, I like it. And we got this little spoon buckle here.
Yeah,
I love it.
This is what's often referred to as a two-piece Confederate sword belt plate.
Yeah, I'll hold this while you kind of talk about it.
It's of course two-piece. This is called the wreath. This is called the tongue. It interlocks and was on a sword belt plate. And I found this on private property near Arkansas Post, which was in a Confederate winter campsite. And the unique thing about it, I found the wreath first. And so I knew if the wreath was there,
That
the tongue
piece gotta be somewhere.
Because if someone had found this previously, they would have hunted till they found this. Because they would have known the tongue was
Now,
there.
how far separated were they?
It ended up, I made a circle, kept widening my circle. I found the tongue about 50 yards away. So
Well, that's
I
wide.
was able to piece it back together, and as you can see, it's a perfect match. So I've got both parts, and
But that was determination, Megs.
yeah, it
50
was.
yards, that was a good
when
search.
When I was young, I would hunt till dark. Not so much now, but that's one of my favorite finds from probably 1981. So a long time. Yeah.
I love your collection. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to cut from this scene, and we're going to take a seat.
Sure.
And when we come back, Megs is going to tell us about the Trans-Mississippi Army, which is different, and we'll explain the difference in that and some of the other armies in the Confederate Army.
I'll do my best.
All right, brother. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
I'm Butch Holcomb. I'm publisher and co-owner of American Digger Magazine. And this is my wife, who is also co-owner of American Digger Magazine.
Hi there.
Handles all of the marketing. I handle the creative end. And together, we are our business, American Digger Magazine.
From the early days of dealing with snail mail as a way of getting to people in the already existing forums on the internet, social media has been a huge boom. We have a American Digger page on Facebook, which has, I think, over 4,000 likes.
Almost 5,000.
Going on
now.
to 5,000. And we keep that page active and fresh. You know, we'll post when the next issues come out, or he actually will take a picture of the current issue coming out and then tag everybody that's friends on Facebook who's in that issue. And just to keep it fresh in front of our subscribers who are also on Facebook. So using social media, I think, has been a huge boom, but at the same time, there's been the steady growth since we began as word spread.
We also do a weekly internet radio show as well, American Digger's Relic Roundup. And the whole purpose of that show, other than to entertain our listeners, is to spread the word of the magazine as well. And that has helped tremendously also in getting word out on the magazine. I have a philosophy which I call shameless self-promotion, self being American Digger Magazine. And we promote the magazine any way and anyhow that we can.
The Confederacy was divided up into three parts. There was the Army of Northern Virginia, the Army of Tennessee, and the Army of the Trans-Mississippi. Of course, there were some other districts involved, but mainly it was those three armies. And you've kind of become the expert because you've been digging around, literally digging around in the Trans-Mississippi dirt and coming up with some cool stories. But far as the Trans-Mississippi Army, the Army of the Trans-Mississippi, tell me why they were so important, because they were part of a pipeline to keep supplies going. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, they were. The Trans-Mississippi Department became separated from the Eastern Theater. It's largely due to the fall of Vicksburg, but the story goes back before that. You know, the Trans-Mississippi composed the Indian Territory, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas, so it was everything west of the Mississippi River. Early in the war, Thomas C. Hyman was in command of the Trans-Mississippi, and he did a great job. He was an administrator. He set up factories for manufacturing. We didn't have anything because Earl Van Dorn, early in the war, who was commander of the Army of the West, big Confederate Army. He took our troops, he took our supplies, everything across the Mississippi. So when Hyman was placed in command, largely due to the state was saying, hey, we've got to have an army here to defend our state. And so Hyman became in command. He set up gun manufacturing in Little Rock, ammunition manufacturing in Little Rock. Of course, as the war progressed and the Union Army started becoming closer and closer to Little Rock, Hyman started moving facilities first to Arkadelphia. And so there was an arsenal at Arkadelphia that ultimately became the part of the Tyler, Texas arsenal and the Marshall, Texas arsenal in Texas. So Texas was actually, when the war ended, the arsenals were still, parts of the arsenals were still being constructed.
Wow.
But Texas was very important, and as a result, the Union Army eyeballed Texas as a prize. They said, if we can capture Texas, it's going to bring the war to a quicker end, because Texas not only was manufacturing for the Trans-Mississippi due to us being largely self-sufficient, cut off from the east. We're not getting supplies from across the Mississippi, so we've got to manufacture here. And so Texas, the ports were still open. So Texas had a pipeline to still receive some supplies from Mexico and also manufacture. So that's why it was so important. The Union Army felt if we can capture Texas, the war is going to come to a quicker end. So there was a two-prong attack. The Red River Campaign under Nathaniel Banks that invaded Louisiana. Well, they were already there, but I mean, they were going to unite with General Frederick Steele out of Little Rock, who with General Thayer from Fort Smith. He came down, joined Steele in Arkansas, and they marched. Their objective was first Shreveport by way of Old Washington, Arkansas. Of course, due to consecutive defeats by the Confederate cavalry, who was left in charge in Arkansas to defend, while the infantry was all down engaging Banks' army in Louisiana. Confederate victories at Mansfield, and then more of what they call a draw at Pleasant Hill. But Banks' army was on the run. They had basically been defeated under the leadership of Richard Taylor. But Kirby Smith, who was in charge of the department at that time, he decided to send all the infantry up into Arkansas to stop Steele, who began a retrograde movement, a skedaddle back to Little Rock because of the defeats by Sterling Price's cavalry prior to the Battle of Jenkins Ferry.
Right.
Of course, the Jenkins Ferry was what they call a draw, but we did force the Federals back to Little Rock. And then as a result of all that, Texas became still, was very important to the Confederate Army late in the war. John Bankhead Magruder became in command. He had a grand review after late in the war. I believe it was September of 1864, 6 months before the war ended. He was in command, a very strong-minded commander. His objective was to probably take Little Rock, move the Federals back out of the state. He had a grand review in Monticello, Arkansas.
This was to see the entire army of what was existing
the
at the time.
Trans-Mississippi, and he had a great plan to probably attack Pine Bluff, move the Federals out of the garrison there, and Little Rock. And he reviewed 12 to 14,000 men in Monticello, Arkansas. It's a little-known event that I call the Last Grand Review. I've been working on a book about that, hopefully to be released within a year. And it tells the story of the Grand Review in September, October of '64 through the last 6 months of the war. And it also tells about the Army eventually moving from Monticello. The attack on Little Rock never materialized. They ended up going to Camden, from Camden to Marshall and Hempstead, Texas, where the Army slowly learned of Robert E. Lee's surrender, and it began to disintegrate. And the officers there that wanted to carry on the war from Texas were forced to realize that the war was basically over.
Yeah.
So that kind of wrapped up the war in the Trans-Mississippi Department. But it has always been a neglected department.
It is.
And I've just chose to do my study and research there, as well as recovering artifacts that help to tell the story, as well as what Texas brought to the Army to help supply the men.
Well, Megs, from one preservationist to another, thank you for your work on Trans-Mississippi and for not only collecting the relics that help to tell the story,
Sure.
but for putting this book together. Now, if somebody wanted to find out more about Megs Brainerd, where would they find you?
Well, hopefully I'll announce it on my personal Facebook page. We also have a site called Trans-Mississippi Relic Hogs that we, as well as artifacts, I'll probably use that vehicle to promote my book. And so people can find me there under Megs Brainerd or Trans-Mississippi Relic Hogs by Facebook. And hopefully within the year, I'll have some forthcoming news about when that's going to come out.
That'd be great. Well, Megs,
Okay.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
We'll be back soon. History Highway.
From the pens of the Kennedy twins comes a new literary composition. The renowned authors of The South Was Right and a dozen more publications have become known for their zeal for conservatism and Southern heritage preservation. In their new book, Jefferson Davis, High Road to Emancipation and Constitutional Government, Donnie and Ron Kennedy hold nothing back. They're quick to point out Davis's high road approach to emancipation, while Lincoln chose the low road. Never afraid of controversy and to go against the grain of the politically correct, the Kennedy twins expose how our constitutional republic of sovereign states has been transformed into a deep state of federal government. To get your copy of the book that defends President Davis and the South, go to www.kennedytwins.com. That's www.kennedytwins.com.
When my mother was in college, she danced with Confederate veterans. To me, it wasn't that far away. You know, my father knew this. My mother knew this. Almost 50 years ago, I joined the Sons of Confederate Veterans. In those days, we weren't concerned about saving monuments or any of those things. That wasn't necessary. In fact, none of us had any remote idea that it would ever come up, or we would have done something then. We can't just sit there and react. We have to be proactive.
The Sons of Confederate Veterans is the direct heir of the United Confederate Veterans and the oldest hereditary organization for male descendants of Confederate soldiers. Organized at Richmond, Virginia in 1896, the SCV continues to serve as a historical, patriotic, and non-political organization dedicated to ensuring that a true history of the 1861 to 1865 period is preserved. Membership in the SCV is open to all male descendants of any veteran who served honorably in the Confederate Armed Forces.
A massive Confederate flag flying high above a local interstate. The Sons of Confederate Veterans raised this large flag earlier today as the Confederate flag is once again in the spotlight.
NASCAR already banning it at all races, and tonight our Dave Faraday.
Keep on flying, boys. The flags of our fathers keep on flying, boys. They're flags like no others. Thousands died in the shadow, so we must not destroy the flags of our fathers. Keep on flying, boys. In honor of Dixie, great-granddad marched off to war. And deep in his heart, he knew what he was fighting for. But there are those among us who want to take those colors down from where the valiant have fallen, from what is now sacred ground. Keep on flying, boys. The flags of our fathers keep on flying, boys. Their flags like no others. Thousands died in their shadow, so we must not destroy the flags of our fathers. Keep on flying, boys. I saw it in the paper, they called it a flag of hate. They don't want our colors flying o'er the fallen's grave. We must draw a battle line, for the truth must be told. It's time, sons and daughters, to stand and be bold. Keep on flying, boys. The flags of our fathers, keep on flying, boys. Their flags like no others. Thousands died in their shadow, so we must not destroy flags of our fathers. Keep on flying, boys. We must stand today, tomorrow is too late. Liberty will go away, 'cause tyranny is at the gate. Keep on flying, boys. The flags of our fathers, keep on flying, boys. Their flags like no others. Thousands died in their shadow, so we must not destroy the flags of our fathers. Keep on flying, boys. Thousands died in their shadow, so we must not destroy the flags of our fathers. Keep on flying, boys.
New tonight, the court says Alpharetta can ban the Confederate flag in the Old Soldiers' Day parade. The case started in 2019 when the city said the Sons of Confederate Veterans could participate in the parade but couldn't use the Confederate flag. Two members sued, saying Alpharetta violated the group's constitutional right to free speech. Today, the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals upheld a lower court's ruling favoring the district.
To episode, 'cause they all know I got a million stories to tell. I'm no dinosaur, it's cool to explore. What makes a country great and put the crack in the Liberty Bell. So take a ride down the history highway. We're headed back to the days of old. So take a ride down the history highway. I got the pedal to the metal and I'm letting this Chevy roll. I got the pedal to the metal.